Welcome to Module 4 of Intro to Operating Systems. I'm your professor, Professor Fiske, and in this micro lecture, we're going to discuss post-installation tasks after installing Windows 10 or Windows 11. So the first thing I would advise, and thanks to Medium for putting this list together, medium.com, but what would I advise as an engineer of 20 years to do after you install a new Windows operating system? And this transcends Windows 10. This can be Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows ME, Lord forbid, Windows 2000, Windows 98, Windows 11. What you want to do when you first install Windows is to perform a Windows update. Depending on how recent the operating system was released, you may be quite a bit or just a little bit behind all the new updates that have just come out. Now you might be asking, hold on a second, why would there be so many updates? Well, Windows 11 and Windows 10 and any Windows operating system works on timelines. And if everything that meets minimum viable product, MVP, is met when the first iteration of that operating system goes out, there are always improvements which can be made to that specific set of or that specific application, like an operating system, that we want to make sure we get in as a patch or a hotfix. So I would suggest very, very strongly to execute a Windows update. And that's as easy as going into the Start menu and saying Windows Update. Check for updates. And that's it. The next thing I would do is I would check to see if you have the right graphics drivers or graphics installation content on your device. Now, you might be thinking this might not be that important, but oh, it is. Because if you don't do this and you want to have multiple screens of some kind, or maybe you have multiple ports that are on your motherboard that you want to use some of, or maybe your driver or your graphics card has specific security drivers to keep it safe. Maybe your graphics card has specific security drivers or updates that'll make it work more efficiently. Drivers are very important, and if you've installed your own operating system, there are chances that the only updates that operating system is really going to be able to understand and know what to update normally comes from Windows Update itself. Your drivers for like graphics cards or your mouse, if you have Razer or something like that, or Logitech, or your monitors or anything like that, those need to be taken care of individually. So normally your graphics card, please have a care and take care of that on your own, unless you buy your PC from like Dell.com or HP or something like that. They would have their own built-in driver installation application that would allow you to see all the drivers that you have on your PC and what you need to do with them. One fun fact, though, if you want to see if your drivers are out of date or if you have a device that's not working right, then what you would do is you would go into what's called Device Manager. And Device Manager would normally have a triangle, a yellow triangle with an exclamation point in it beside each of these that are not working. As you can see, all of mine are working and the drivers are updated, so you don't see that. But there are situations where you might. Let me go into my graphics card for a second and let me go to Properties. There are multiple ways you can update your drivers. You can update them by going out into the internet and downloading the app like I did for AMD. I have an AMD Radeon app here, right? And so I went out and I downloaded this, and you can see here on the right my driver software is up to date, which is good because Windows 11, once again, I said, is very buggy. So if your graphics card's not up to date and it tries to determine what it needs to do with that, it might have the blue screen of death. So when I first rebuilt my PC and installed Windows 11, I got the blue screen of death almost every single day. It was very annoying until I realized Windows 11 doesn't have the right checks and balances in place to make sure that my drivers are working right, as well as hard drive hibernation is a problem as well with Windows 11. But with Windows 10, all those bugs were eked out. They were all worked out. But what you will find is if you want to make sure that your device is working properly based on the drivers that are installed, go into Device Manager and then open up the device itself and you will get that information. Now, what I will say is if you want to update the driver from here, you can. Right? So I update the driver. It'll ask you if you want to search automatically for the drivers or if you want to use the ones that are local to your PC. Once again, for my graphics card, I don't use this. I use the application that AMD has for the AMD graphics cards that are available. But if I wanted to search online, I can click search online, and then it will tell me whether or not there's a good driver out there that's more recent than the one I have. As you can see here, it says the best drivers for your device are already installed. I can continue to search using Windows Update, but this would be frivolous because there are certain drivers that are not uploaded at all to Windows in the least. And you can see here, if I went into Windows Update, and if I wanted to find out where that was, it would be Advanced Options. Once again, I'm in Windows 11, but Advanced Options and then Optional Updates. You can see I have no optional updates. I've done away with all of that. But in Windows 10, I can show you what it will look like in Windows 10, actually. Windows 10 still has Control Panel, and in your Control Panel, there should be a Windows Update or an Update Service here. If I can see, I don't see it. So, Autoplay, and this might be a watered-down version of the Control Panel that you have on your Windows 10 device, if you have one that you're using. I don't see Windows Update, so it looks like they removed it from Windows or Control Panel for Windows 11, which is fine. I mean, mine uses settings, and I'm totally fine with that. But yes, you can update your drivers from this location, and that's totally viable, especially if you're a system administrator and you're administrating many PCs. You might not want to, do all of that from the apps and whatnot. The other thing is you want to update your DirectX drivers, because this is very important for rendering video content in all your C++ directories. Normally this is done via hotfix on your Windows device. So once again, I would just update your Windows, do a Windows update. You should be fine. And then lastly, once again, you can see these are all of the updates, whatnot, that you want to do. Nanite is a open source way to do exactly what I was just showing you. You could do individually. So if you went to Nanite, you can see here, it would say pick the apps you want to keep up to date, and then it would install and update all these programs individually based on what your needs are. I don't like using stuff like this because there are chances that malware can be added, so that's just not my cup of tea. I wouldn't do it that way. I do it one by one. And then I would clean up my junk files and things of that nature. So why would I do that? Well, when you do your initial installation of Windows 10 and or Windows 11 or any Windows OS for that matter, there are cleanup files that need to get purged. So normally you would come in here and say cleanup, and you can see where it says disk cleanup. This is kind of where you would go in and you would say, I want to clean up the C drive. Okay. And then it would calculate what needs to be cleaned. You couldn't see it, but it did the calculation very quickly. And then it says, hey, these are the things that I can clean up for you. It's very small. I do apologize. I can't make it bigger. But you can see how my temporary files are 88 megs. If you don't have a lot of space, which I do have a truckload of space, so I honestly don't care. Yeah, I think I have a couple terabytes in SSD storage on my PC, but if you are hurting for space, this is the best way to get rid of the things you don't want. And your temporary files are normally like your update files or your installation files, your system restore files, and things like that. And then obviously install any antivirus software that you have already paid for. So if you've paid for McAfee or Trend Micro and you trust those things, that's great. I don't. So Windows Defender is as far as I go, and Windows Defender has gotten a lot better over time. So I would say in making sure Windows Defender is up to date, on, and working is the best thing you could do. And that's it. I mean, everything else is pretty straightforward. So I want to pause here and say, please hit that like and subscribe button. This really helps to me to understand what content is you're interested in, and if you like what you're watching. So as I say in all my videos, good luck, have fun, ciao.